obviously I've got a few things to fix up here in the front of the nose, and of course I've got to finish underneath. But here's what the top will look like. I didn't mind it with the white on top. The silver's okay. The top was a little less pleasant to do than I anticipated. If you're wondering why the silver stops halfway back, the back end will be blue, but I didn't have time to finish that this evening, and it will cross over down to maybe around here or something, so there'll be a little bit of a seam, and then I just need to wrap the edges here underneath, and then I can so go underneath like that, so you have a nice clean line there. Then once that's done, I'll put the top back on. In order to get the broken coat hanger out, the tab that attaches here has broken off. In order to get that off, apparently I have to take the rear wheel out, and I'll be honest, I'm not super enthusiastic about doing that. So that might not happen right away, because I'm still waiting for the axle puller that I ordered from velomobile.nl. But once that's here and I get that out of there, then I'll get that fixed. So I'll end up taking the top off a second time, and that's fine. I didn't find it all that difficult to take it off anyway, so I don't mind having to do it twice. But also got to get the lights cut out and get that area touched up nice around there. But anyway, once that's done, then the vinyl wrap is done, so I just need to get that back section fixed, and I'll do that tomorrow. Alrighty, I've got one side of the back done. I did not have a very good time here. I have a really hard time cutting around stuff. I might have to piece something in there, but other than that, the rest of it turned out good. So on to the other side, and we'll see if I can have any more luck with doing it quickly. It is a tremendously long time past my bedtime, but I got it done. I am really amazed that I actually got that back piece to fit. I've got some trimming to do along here. This is gonna taper down kind of like that, and it'll do the same on the other side. I got to cut out the lights yet, and I've got to trim the bottom, and I'll trim this piece off in the morning. I don't want to deal with it right now, but the back turned out fairly good. I got to trim obviously yet underneath the velomobile, but before I do that, I need to put the top back on, and I need to fix the wiring that broke loose when I was working on the top. But beyond that, yeah, it's pretty much done. I wouldn't have minded actually continuing the gray, I think, further back, but it's okay. It looks reasonably good. I can live with how it looks right now. I'm not sure how well this blue is going to stick long term, but hopefully it'll be okay. But I'll update once I get everything trimmed once and for all, and I'm going to bed. All right, time for a big announcement. The vinyl wrap is now 100% complete. The only thing I have left are the mirror cones, and I started one, and well, they're tricky, definitely tricky. But anyway, here it is a perfect no Excuse me. But it's certainly good enough for me, and it's a big improvement over what it was before. So, ta-da! Here on the very back, I've got some orange reflective vinyl on the way that I will cover that area with. Now I'll probably have to pull out what lights I can. I can't get that one out. It's glued in. But here's what we got to work with. Nobody's going to see underneath that I didn't do the chain tunnel. I have enough vinyl left that I certainly could, but I'm not worried about that getting scraped up. In the 12,000 miles that's on this thing now, I don't see any signs of that getting scraped. I think I'll probably just trim this stuff off here. That seam gets covered by vinyl tape, and I don't want ripples in the vinyl tape. I opted to just go only to here with the vinyl wrap. I would have rather, I think in the end I would have preferred to run it around the back, but that's okay. It still looks fine. I've unearthed all of the lights. There's some imperfections here in the finish that are unfortunate. I thought I was going to get that top on without any of that happening, but unfortunately I threw a piece of the backing paper under because that gray stuff, that silver metallic, is really sticky stuff compared to the blue, and I was having a tough time working with it to smooth it out, and so I thought, well, I'll put that under so it doesn't stick down. Well, unfortunately the stuff had picked up a bunch of stuff off of the floor. Down here underneath, I ran a seam along here so that I could put a piece running quite a ways along the back to the back of the footholes to just add a little bit of extra protection in that area. Let the vinyl wrap get chewed up instead of the gel coat. Seeing again, it runs back to there, and there's some vinyl that runs back behind the wheels as well that'll kind of protect that area. It's a little bit messy up here around the lights. Ideally those would be removed, but that really wasn't a practical solution to this. So yeah, it looks kind of ugly, but oh well. This will again get covered by the vinyl tape, so that's no big deal. This is also an inlay in here, and I may need to trim this a little bit more or just hit it with some more heat because it doesn't like to stay down on the edge. But that inlay worked out very nicely. And then I got the chain cover also covered in vinyl, and that just needs to go on. But first, I've got a chewed up derailleur cable in the rear that needs to get replaced as soon as possible. Again, there's some small bits of grit underneath there that I just could not get out of there after I picked up that piece of stuff. That may have some unfortunate impact on the aerodynamics. The very front of it's relatively clean. It's more halfway back that's happening, and that's too bad. Worst case, if I just don't like the way it behaves, I just rip that piece of vinyl off and I put a new piece on. It doesn't take that long to do the hood. Alright, the former clown car known as Spot has made it outdoors finally. The work that needs to be done inside is finally done, and it's time for a test run. I'm just going to ride around the neighborhood, maybe some nearby neighborhoods, and just kind of test the shifting and stuff. I'm not all that happy with this yellow reflective sticker in the back. It's not It's not quite as bad of a color out in the sunlight, but it's not as highly visible as I was hoping. So I have some orange vinyl on order, and I'll probably use that instead. The orange vinyl finally arrived. I switched the vinyl tape to some orange vinyl tape so it all matches. Don't mind the geese in the backyard. The orange vinyl works much better than the yellow. It's much more visible. Unfortunately, I've scraped it up a little bit. Hit the house last night when I was moving it out of the garage. And there's a little spot back here. There's another unfortunate incident here. So the vinyl is certainly not especially durable. It's not as hard as gel coat. But in the end, I think it turned out pretty good. And it'll work for now. Eventually it'll be warm enough that it'll be painting weather, and maybe in a year or two I'll go ahead and paint it. But for now, it's good looking velomobile.